Hey guys, Jackson Savvy here. Today's Windows 10 tutorial is going to cover how to change startup programs when Windows 10 boots up. So, you'll see I've got my desktop a bit clearer using my dual monitor setup. So, you'll have all your icons up here. Come down to your taskbar, and right here, go ahead and click. And let's just type in startup. Now you'll see options to change advanced startup and see which processes start up automatically when you start Windows. Both will lead us basically to where we need to go, but let's go ahead and click this one that says see which processes start up automatically. Okay, now we see our task manager. Now some of the power users might know that you can use a keyboard shortcut to get to this, and the keyboard shortcut is holding Control, then Shift, then Escape, and then I'll bring this up if you don't want to go through typing it in and searching it out that way. Let's go ahead and maximize this so we can see everything. And at the top of your columns, you can go ahead and widen those because you want to be able to see all this information in both columns. Now you'll see at the top we have a row of different tabs. Now for the purposes of this tutorial, we're only going to focus on startup here, so make sure you've got it clicked and selected. Now yours is going to look totally different depending on your computer, depending on what programs you have installed, but we're going to go over the basics of how to look up programs to see if you can disable them and how to get your boot time a little bit better and make sure these programs aren't running when you don't need them to. Now for the most part, based on your processor, you'll see a couple under the publisher column that correlate to your processor. Like I have an Intel dual core, so I see these Intel ones, they're enabled, and I want to leave them that way. Basically, if there's any that you don't recognize or you've never heard of, we can look those up. Let's go with my very first one. I've got a lot of Adobe programs installed. If I'm not sure if I can disable it, I can right click it and I'll have the option to disable or enable. I can open the file location, that's where the program is actually located, search online about it, or properties. Now none of these we're really going to worry too much except for search online, which I've never clicked it from there. I've always gone to my internet browser. And you'll see whenever I start up here, when I click it that way, it takes me through a Bing search. And I don't really want to go through that at the moment. Let's just go ahead and close that. We don't want to sign up. But basically, that's the easiest way to look up whatever process it is. Or you can type it into your internet browser. If I were going to do that, I could type in, for this one, Adobe CS6 Service Manager process. But it looks like this gave us what we needed. You can click on your internet result and it'll tell you if it's absolutely needed when it starts up or if you can go ahead and disable it. Because what we're doing is we're enabling and disabling programs for when Windows first starts up. And there are quite a few that we don't need. In my case, I've got the Adobe CS6 stuff, and I can disable that because I'm not always using Adobe products right when the computer starts up. So if I come down through my list, Apple Push is disabled, which I don't even use Apple products. I occasionally need them. Google Installer for mine. I leave that enabled, so I use Google Chrome and a lot of Google products. So if it's an application that you use and it does, it checks for updates, things like that, for the most part, you can go ahead and leave those enabled because you always want to keep as much on your system update as you can. As you'll see, I've got Java, which for the most part, most users will have. I do leave that enabled. You can see the impact on your startup right up here. You'll see it has a low impact, and I want to keep my Java up to date because a lot of programs I use, I need Java. So Logitech Download Assistant for mine, that's just my mouse. That's a program that came when I plugged in my Logitech mouse. I don't need any updates on that, so I'm going to disable it. Don't be scared to disable these programs. For the most part, The ones you're most worried about are the ones you won't recognize, like this strange module. I know by looking at the publisher in this column that it is something to do with my processor and the Intel software. So that's fine. Let's leave that enabled. Then you have ones that are optional. Windows 10 comes with Microsoft OneDrive, which it's deeply ingrained in the system, but I don't particularly like to have all my files syncing and in the cloud, so I do turn that off. I disable it. That's totally optional. I see another Intel one. I'll leave that alone. This program, I'm not quite sure, but it's not even impacting my startup. Now, one thing to look for is a lot of people do get adware and malware installing different programs, and this is also a good tool if you see one you don't recognize to look it up online. You might find out you have some kind of virus or you might have some adware installed, so this is also a great tool for that. When you come down, you'll see some drivers and software relating to different hardware on your computer, such as for my audio, it's Realtek. I do want that enabled. I want it to start up right when the computer does. I have Steam, which is a game client I've never actually used, but it was enabled and it started up right when the system did. I didn't need that. You can see it impacts the startup quite a bit, so I disable that. And when you cross-reference these programs, there's part of the startup. Most of the internet searches that you'll come to will tell you if it's okay to disable it, if it's okay to keep it on, and the research is going to be what's most important. This switchboard server, I saw that was from Adobe. I disabled it. Now my touchpad, if you're using a laptop, I might use another mouse, but occasionally I need that touchpad, so I do leave it enabled. And the one thing that's paramount in this is to make sure that whatever antivirus software you use is enabled and starts up when the system does. So I just use Windows Defender, and I am by no means condoning not using an additional software such as Avast, AVG, something along those lines. I don't myself because I'm very good at detecting different websites or downloads and catching it before it happens. But for the average user, it's always good to have Windows Defender, your firewall, along with another antivirus software. But back to what we were saying. The startup and the boot time may not be a big consideration to you, but this is a great tool, the task manager under your startup, to look at what's going on with your system when it starts up and what programs are ingrained a little deeper in the system. So make sure you take the time, go through them, disable whatever you can, and get a general consensus of if there are things affecting your system and if you can get a little bit more performance out of it. So guys, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. I do respond to most. I do get a couple questions that could easily be answered through a simple Google search, so I'm not trying to be an ass, but if you have a question that you ask that I don't believe is relevant or is because of lack of effort, I may not respond to you. But for the most part, I'll get back to you guys. If you have any ideas for other videos you'd like to see, hit me up in the comments, and thanks for watching.